Hi, I'm Dan West, the Livonia Chamber of Commerce, and this is the latest edition of CityScape, our podcast featuring people, places, and ideas that impact Livonia. With so much talk going on these days about the need to make productive changes in our society, our guest today recently wrote a book about her story growing up in Detroit. In her book, The Adventures of Old Black Detroit Girl, Erica Robertson hopes her story and work at a national education nonprofit organization will inspire education and opportunity for young people to know it is okay to share their stories and their experiences as it relates to trauma. Erica, thank you for joining us today.
Well, thank you for having me, Dan. I appreciate it.
Now, Erica, I don't have enough time in this format to do justice to your resume, so please forgive me for the Cliff Notes version in this introduction here. But Erica is the CEO and founder of Education at Scale, a Detroit-based nonprofit group focused on tackling K-12 systematic issues in education that disproportionately impacts students of color across the country. She previously worked in various education and nonprofits and in private sector roles where she used data and technology to innovate and lead change. She's also a U.S. Navy veteran, holds 2 degrees from the University of Michigan, and she is currently a doctoral candidate at Vanderbilt. And she's a mom. Erica, you already have an amazing resume. What keeps you so inspired to do more?
Yeah, well, thank you for that generous introduction. I appreciate that, Dan. I'll share a quick story. When I was in undergrad up at Michigan, I was a poli-sci major. And I was part of the Black Action movement. I was interning on the Hill with State Senator then Alma Wheeler Smith, and I was into education reform and politics. And my mentor asked me, he says, well, Erica, what are you going to do with the rest of your life? I'm like, oh, I'm going to go out and change the world. And he's like, okay, why don't you go back, get your MBA, make some money first, and then you can come back and change the world. And so I did that. I was blessed with the opportunities to work with some amazing organizations, Nike being the most recent. I worked in Europe, traveled internationally. I saw the world, made a little bit of money, but I still had the passion to really drive change for, brown and Black boys and girls. And I thought, no, there's no better place to do that than back here in my hometown of Detroit. And so here I am, 4 years in now to this work. And I wake up every day feeling blessed that I get to do this work on behalf of kids every day.
Erica, in your book, you talk about the kindness and compassion from key people in your life. Talk about how those people inspired you to be who you are today.
So there were so many, there are quite a few people along my journey that really helped shape me, that helps my healing journey, that helped me transform my life into something beautiful. But I'll name 2 that come quickly to mind. One was a high school coach, Coach Rubb, who was a coach of a girls' basketball team. And I had ran away from home. I was kind of on my own and living with my grandmother, living with friends. And I needed a sense of belonging. And somehow he sensed that. And I tried out for the girls' basketball team, and I was no good. I couldn't even dribble a ball. But he allowed me to be a part of that team because he could sense that I needed somewhere to belong. And that experience of having that family kind of at school, that nurturing environment, really helped keep me, one, in school with everything that I was going through, but also allowed me to form, important connections to others. I think the second person I would say that was really instrumental was a boyfriend early on when I was around 18 years old that I met. And in the book, his name is Roger. And, Roger was, at University of Michigan when I wasn't in school. I had graduated from high school, but I had been working at the pharmacy. I'd been working at Kentucky Fried Chicken. I was, receiving welfare. And he would come into the pharmacy every day for almost 3 months and talk to me and, about what he was doing and what dreams he had. And also he made me feel really special. And he became a really great friend over the years who I could open up to, who I could share what I was going through, and also encouraged me to, get help, to have another trusted professional to share my journey with. I think those two people, and many more, but those 2 people were really instrumental at an early point in my life to really help me kind of refocus and start my healing journey.
It's a great segue into the next question. In our introduction, you talked about the importance of how accepting and processing trauma is so important in helping a young person advance in their life. So with that in mind, can you share a story about some personal trauma you incurred and how you turned that into a positive opportunity later in life?
Yeah, my journey really started, in our house. And part of what I talk about when I introduce the book, I talk about this concept of intergenerational trauma, which is trauma that's passed down through the generations unless you get the tools and support you need to break some of those cycles. And so, my mother, who tried her very best to give me and my siblings a great life, she struggled with mental illness. And, she joined the military, and, moved us from Detroit, down south to, Montgomery Air Force Base, and then later to Austin, Texas, and tried to provide this really beautiful life for us, a life that she didn't have. But because she had been abused, sexually, physically, by her father, she was also abusive to her children. And so there was a lot of psychological, a lot of physical abuse in our household growing up, and ultimately led to me running away at 14. And, you know, uh, when you're in a house with, mental illness, when you're in a house where there's a lot of violence, where you're in a house where there's not psychological, emotional safety, those are what we call ACEs, adverse childhood experiences. And the more of those that you pack on, the more difficult it is for you to navigate through life. But by the grace of God, and I give God all the credit in my book as well, I was able to meet people along the way that inspired me, that opened doors for me, that helped me, that gave me places to sleep, and ultimately led me to get support and try to deal with some of the trauma and the traumatic events that I experienced when I was younger.
How can your story help a young person who feels the deck is stacked against them?
I one of the things that I'm doing with this book, and actually is launching in 2 weeks, is a virtual book club where we're doing, we're inviting some young people. It's a pilot, but we're inviting some young people from a couple schools to read the book, and we're creating this platform as a safe space to share personal narrative and to talk about the power you have in shaping and reshaping your own personal narrative through writing.
Mhm.
And so what I want to demonstrate to young people is that, one, I have, many of the challenges some of them may be struggling with, and that I know it hurts, and I know it's difficult. However, there is hope for a brighter future. And, by sharing with them, some tools to help them continue to build their resiliency, by sharing with them my story and helping them understand it's okay to speak about what's going on, by sharing with them that it's okay to go out and get help and talk to a professional. It's my hope that young people will, kind of shake off the taboo of, what's happening in their lives, or even understand it a little bit deeper to understand what's happening so that they can go out and get the support that they need.
Please share with us how we can order a copy of The Adventures of Little Black Detroit Girl.
Yeah, so I have a website, and it's www.littleblackdetroitgirl.com. And so right now you can pre-order the book. The book actually releases on July 25th. And so you can pre-order your copies on the website. The ebook will be available on July 25th as well. And it will be available on Amazon in ebook format and in hard copy as well. So www.littleblackdetroitgirl.com, and then on Amazon as of July 25th.
And that'll be available on the screen as well. But author, educator, and policy advocate Erica Robertson, thank you for taking time to talk to us today.
Well, thank you so much for having me, Dan. I appreciate you allowing me to share my story.
We appreciate everyone for watching this episode of CityScape, and we'll see everybody next time.